G'day and welcome to the National Virtual Expo. My name is Rob Malicki on Gadigal land in Sydney, and I'm paying my respects to the traditional custodians of this land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And welcome to you, parents, students, careers advisors. We have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people who've signed up for this event, and I'm super pumped that you are here with me today. Before we get into this session, which is Start Here, How to Choose a University, I'd firstly like to just acknowledge our major presenting sponsor, Southern Cross University. You know what? Something like this has never been done before. We have got sessions on every single Australian university, but not only, we're also covering off all the stuff that maybe you haven't thought of before. If you don't know about leadership programs or student exchange or student accommodation, moving away from home, we've got sessions on all that stuff to help you understand what uni is all about anyway. We've also got sessions on AI. This technology is literally changing the world so fast. What does that mean for going to university? What does that mean for getting a job? We're going to be diving into that as part of National Virtual Expo as well. And hey, if you're one of the parents, thanks for joining us. Over 1,500 parents have joined us for the National Virtual Expo, so you are not alone. And speaking personally, I can empathise with exactly where you are right now, trying to help your kids to decide about their future. And you know what? Maybe you're trying to decide for yourself too. The number of people who change direction or reskill, upskill after they've had kids is quite significant. So if you're one of those people too, we've got some great sessions for you as well. But before we go any further, a quick word from Southern Cross University. Thank you so much, Southern Cross, for getting behind this event. You know, anytime you try something new, you need people to back you. Southern Cross is an institution that's laser focused on the well-being and success of its students. And when they saw this, they got really excited about its potential to change the game in how students access information. So a quick word from Southern Cross Uni, then straight into this session on Start Here, what you need to know and how to choose your uni. Let's do it.
Today's students are tomorrow's front line. Today's visionaries will become tomorrow's leaders. And today's research will discover tomorrow's solutions. For ourselves, for others, and for our world. Southern Cross University, transforming tomorrow.
I'm walking down a narrow, dusty, brick-lined corridor. It's pretty dark, and overhead we've got these fluorescent lights. And I'm following a group of about half a dozen university students as we're trotting down through this hallway behind our biology professor. And as we go, we're going past these wooden doors where it's got the name of the professor that works in the office that's just beyond. There's no windows or anything like that. But as we walk down this hallway, suddenly our professor, who's leading us on this tour of the biology lab, stops and turns around. And what I don't realise in that moment is that what he's about to say next will fundamentally change probably the direction of my entire life, if I'm really honest. I don't realise that what Professor Dave Briscoe says will end up leading to me sleeping on the ground in like half a dozen train stations across Europe. I don't realise that it's going to lead me on an expedition across the desert in Western New South Wales. And I don't realise at that particular moment that because of what he says next, I'm going to end up sleeping overnight at my university from 11 p.m, or actually not even sleeping, working from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in a music laboratory on the far side of campus, working on projects, taking a couple of hours of sleep underneath one of the desks before getting up and going to class. But all of that's in front of me. And I'll share that story with you in just a moment. But firstly, we've got a lot of different types of people here at the National Virtual Expo. We have literally 1,500 parents who've joined us. So if that's you, thank you for joining us. In the chat, please feel free. Tell us where you're from, what you're here for, what are you looking for? You know, parents, I really empathise with where you are right now. All of us who are parents, we want one thing for our kids, and that's for our kids to have better opportunities than we had ourselves. And yet, even though we've been through this moment ourselves, when we arrive here, our children arrive here, suddenly we realise that going through it ourselves is hard, but going through it trying to guide someone else is equally hard. So I really feel you. Thank you for joining us at this event. I've got lots of great content that will help you on this journey. And if you are a student, thank you also for being here at the National Virtual Expo. We have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of students who have come to this event. And I think that most of you are here for one thing, and that's to remove some sort of doubt about this journey beyond school. And there's probably, you're in one of three different sort of situations. For a very small number of you out there, and I say this based on experience because I've literally spoken with thousands and thousands of students. I've helped tens of thousands of people, you know, to help decide on which institution might be the right one for them. A very small percentage of you know exactly what it is that you want to be doing next. Maybe you have always wanted to be a doctor. That's kind of the classic example, isn't it? Or a teacher. Maybe you love healthcare and you've always wanted to be a nurse. Maybe it's an engineer. You want to build stuff. If you're one of those people, you're one of the lucky ones. And maybe you're here to either like reinforce your choice, make sure that you feel like you've validated that choice, or maybe you're trying to choose between University A and University B. Actually, I'm going to save you heaps of time. Right, if you are one of those lucky few who's in that situation, you know exactly what you want to do, and you're trying to choose between Uni A and Uni B, here is your answer. Pick one. Pick anyone. And I'll tell you why. Because the Australian higher education system is literally one of the best higher education systems in the entire world. That's not just a made-up statistic. 90% of Australia's universities, 90% rank in the top 1,000. Let's compare that to America, where only like 18 to 20% of universities in America rank in the top 1,000. In the UK, it's about 45%. Our system here is extraordinary, almost across the board. It basically doesn't matter which institution you go to, you are going to get a good education. We've got frameworks like education frameworks, it's called the Australian Qualifications Framework, we've got validation, we've got oversight. That means it doesn't really matter which degree you get or which uni you go to for your degree, it's going to be pretty good, with one proviso. And this is something that you need to bear in mind. You might choose, pick one university for the Bachelor of Business, get started there, and if you get there, you're not happy with it, you're not enjoying the experience, change. It's literally that simple, all right? Pick one. If you're not happy, change, all right? Now, interestingly enough, for those students, and there's a large number of students who are in this situation as well, for those students who maybe are trying to choose between two different degree areas. So let's say in fact, real example, in the Discord for this event, just the other day, I had a student that was asking about how to choose between going into medicine or going into engineering. Okay, two very, very different degrees. He says, yeah, I like the idea of both. I could do either. I'm going to get a good... Okay, great. Pick one. What can we say? Like, you don't know where life is going to lead you. There is no right or wrong answers. That's just the truth. What really holds people back in this situation isn't the fact that they're trying to figure out which one's best. If you're really honest about it, what's holding you back from making that decision is FOMO. You're actually worried about the door that you don't choose. And that's the whole thing about choosing a uni, choosing a career, figuring this stuff out, is that every time we come to make one of these choices, you literally have these different doors that you can potentially walk through. And we don't know exactly what's on the other side. So what you got to do is open one of those doors and have a look and give it a try. And once again, if you get through that doorway and you find out that it isn't what you expected, that you don't like what's on the other side, great. You've figured something out. Change, all right? You can always change direction. Particularly, once again, just speaking truth, if you're a high school student, if you make the wrong decision, let's say that, like let's say a student from Discord decided that they wanted to go into medicine, started in medicine and discovered, lo and behold, they don't like blood and guts. It happens, like it literally happens. And sorry, I'm just going to talk to the parents for a moment here. We have to remember, parents, that what we talk about and the things that we've influenced our kids, whether we like it or not. Sometimes we haven't influenced them as much as we would have liked. Sometimes we've actually over-influenced them. But that actually can really lead kids astray. If we've been pressuring them saying you need to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, but we haven't necessarily paid attention to what our child actually wants. We haven't listened. That can be a real problem. So kids, think about that too. If you're thinking about choosing between subject A and subject B, think about where has that come from. Is it because, literally, like you're good with your hands? You've always liked Meccano or Lego or solving problems or mathematics, and engineering seems like it's the right thing for you. Maybe, that's good. Or is it because of something in your story, in your parents' story, in the pressure that's been put on you? Because when it comes to choosing between A and B, those things count. And you should do what you know in your heart to be the right direction for you. Because one thing is certainly true. Okay, 1 in 7 first-year students will end up dropping out of university. 15% across the country. Now, okay, that isn't uniform across every field of study, across every university, but it's a huge number. And a large number of people who do drop out of their degrees, it's because they essentially got their choice wrong. We've got to think about why we're potentially choosing something. And if that's because of somebody else's priorities, you are making the wrong call. All right. And parents, if you've been pushing something down your kid's throat, I'm sorry, but you've just been doing the wrong thing there. Kids, students, you have to choose what is right for you. One way or another, that is going to come to a head. Okay. Whether you like it or not, one way or another, that is going to blow up at some point. Either because you get partway through that degree and you realize that you hate it, and you end up in a big fight together because parents want you to do this and you want to do that, and you never had the guts just to have that honest conversation. Or, worst case scenario, you get into that as a career, you get 40 years down the track and you're in your 50s and 60s or whatever, and suddenly you realize that you actually hate blood and guts and being a doctor, and it's made you miserable. That is not a winning scenario. So, take the time right now to figure out why you have these ideas. And then if you genuinely, like student on Discord, are trying to choose between subject A and subject B, just pick one. And then if it doesn't work out, What do? You change, okay? Change degree, change uni. It's easier than you might think, and we'll talk about that as well. Now, let me take a moment to talk to those of you who have absolutely no idea about what you want to do next. And let me tell you that this is incredibly common because once again, it's about the choices, those doors that are in front of us, and understanding that we can choose any of them. And any of them may work out or they might not work out. This is life. Like, what you have to remember is that getting things wrong, failing, and having to try again is actually a big part of the journey. Like, for real. It doesn't matter if you choose a Bachelor of Arts and it was the wrong thing for you and you have to go back and start again and it wasted 6 months. Let me tell you about something. 6 months, like, this is such a myth. Okay, let's say you start at university and you don't have any idea what you really want to do. And, you know, maybe you start in a Bachelor of Communications. And after a year, you're like, oh, this is crap. I really don't enjoy this. I want to change. Oh my God, I've just wasted a year. No, you've actually figured something out. And this is valuable because think about that person who in their 50s, in their 60s is working a job that they hate and they're miserable because they never figured out what actually mattered to them, what they cared about. Let me tell you something. If you spent a year and you figured that out, that's awesome. That's probably saved you 20 or 30 years working in a job that you hate. You're a lucky one. It's not time wasted. Now, let me take you back to that moment when I was in the hallway with Professor Dave Briscoe pointing to the door of the Key Centre for Biodiversity and Bioresources. And Professor Briscoe turned to our group and he said, "This is the Key Centre for Biodiversity and Bioresources. You could volunteer here as a student." And I was literally standing there as a student and I went, oh, I could volunteer in a real life biology laboratory. Wow, that's kind of cool. And I did. A couple of weeks later, I went up to the professor after one of the biology lectures and I said, "Hey, Dave, you know, that thing you're talking about, volunteering in that biology lab, I think I'd like to do that. I'd like to give it a try." And he went, "Oh, great, fantastic. Come down and I'll introduce you to the head of the laboratory." And he did. I ended up getting along with Andy Beattie pretty well. I ended up doing volunteering work there. And what that led to was a realization of just how many opportunities you discover once you are into university. I didn't know that this biology lab even existed. And yet, there was an opportunity for me to not only get involved there, but for that to give me opportunities that I never even dreamed that I would have. As part of that volunteer, just experience that I had, at some point, some of the scientists said, "Oh, hey, Rob, we're going on a field trip out to Tibooburra, to the Sturt National Park, which is right up in the far west, northwest corner of New South Wales. We're going up there to do some field work for a week or 10 days. Do you want to come?" Yes, I do. All expenses paid trip to the outback, where I got to hang out with real scientists, walking around the desert, doing field work. It was incredible. What I then realised as part of that experience was that I could try other things at university. Heck, if I could just go and volunteer in a biology laboratory, which, mind you, ended up leading to paid work. I ended up in a paid role there, which paid really well. Get a job on campus. That's if you can, get a job on campus if you can in any way, because the pay is phenomenal. But not only that, it made me realise that I could do other things. And so I'd always played a bit of music and I enjoyed playing a bit of music. I enjoyed composing. And so I thought, you know what? Like my Bachelor of Science degree is pretty flexible. Why don't I just enroll in some music composition classes? And so I did. And of course, what that led to was me working in these laboratories overnight, because that was when I could get access to computers, and I was working lots of jobs. Like I was always working. I think at one point I had like 7 jobs at university, right? I was always trying to like earn some money because I was saving up for something. I'll get to that in a moment. And so I would work an evening shift, finish at about 11 o'clock, go straight back to uni to do my work overnight in the music laboratory, you know, electronic music, had my headphones on, work through the night, couple of hours kip under the desk, and then literally get up and go to class after that. Now you could say, what a waste of time. I did, you know, maybe 6 months of music, and I've never worked in music. Is that a waste of time? In fact, not, because about 15 years ago, I suddenly discovered that I really enjoyed video. I loved working with video. I loved working with audio. And those skills that I'd learnt at university, doing this little fun thing that I enjoyed, suddenly became absolutely not only relevant, but critical to my ability to do video production well. You don't know where life's going to lead you. But if we're doing things that we enjoy and we're developing skills that lead us in the right direction, at some point that's going to be useful for you. Here's something that's really important. The path is behind you. You know, your story, you know, think about where you are right now. You know, right now, sitting watching this video, this presentation, this stream. Everything that you have done in your life is completely unique. Like completely unique. No two people have led the same story at all, right? Like you went to soccer this weekend. Okay, so did everybody in your team. But after the game, they went on to do something else and you went home and played video games, right? Your story is unique. And so we don't know where all this stuff is going to end up. So stop pretending. Stop pretending like you need to have this thing sort of figured out. Like you are a human being. It's only in retrospect that you go, oh yeah, I suddenly realized that like I can produce video content. I know how to edit it because I did those classes at uni. So if you're doing stuff that you enjoy, you won't necessarily lead yourself astray. And so, for those of you who are trying to figure out what to do, you've got no idea. It's not about trying to figure out what your career is going to be. It's not even about trying to figure out the full degree that you're going to do at university and how that's going to end up. All you're trying to figure out right now, literally right now, is what's going to be the best use of my time? You know, what's the next step that I need to take? You know, what's going to help me get started with this? And in that sense, it's all just about opening some doors and trying some stuff. Now, in this expo, we're going to talk about gap years. So we've got a session on gap years and working holidays. Let me reframe that for you for just a moment, because I hate the term gap year. You know, it makes it sound like you're just bludging off and doing nothing. Now, I know some of you people out there watching this, you're bludging off hardcore right now. Like, you're not doing the studies that you need to be doing. Everything seems too hard. You're scrolling too much on TikTok and Instagram and all that. Yeah, okay, fine. Like, that's okay. Like, you're a human being, whatever. But don't pretend, just don't pretend otherwise, okay? Like, you might be able to fool other people, but be honest with yourself, right? Be honest with yourself that, like, you're just bludging off right now. And at some point, you're going to have to do the work. So, you know, parents, like, I know this is a really hard moment. You know, we are trying to help our kids to make this decision, and maybe they seem adrift and maybe they're completely disengaged with it. And we have this temptation to that we want to do everything for them. You know what? Sometimes we actually need to just fall on our face. We've actually just got to face plant in order to pick ourselves up and realize that we've stuffed something up, or, you know, to figure something out. And like, once again, as parents, like, we just want the right thing for our kids. We want them to find something that they love. We want them to have opportunities that we didn't get to have. All right, so this is temptation to be like, well, what about this? And what about, you know what? Let them figure it out, okay? But your job, my view, okay, as a parent, is just don't let them do nothing, okay? Like, don't let them do nothing. They should do what they want to do, but don't let them just do nothing, okay? And if that's you, the student, sitting there, you're like, oh, I don't know how to start it. Sorry, but that's crap too. Like, I'll just call it out. Like, it's actually crap, because you know that your mum has put all these resources in front of you, and you haven't even looked at it. Let me give you 2 super easy starting points. If you genuinely don't know what you might do next, all right, then I promise I'm going to come back to the gap year thing. If you don't know what to do next, there's like heaps of good online resources to help you start figuring out what stuff lines up with your personality. We've built one. It's Choosing Your Uni. Details are down in the description for this session. We've got the What to Study quiz. It takes you about 20 minutes. I'm sorry, but if you haven't got 20 minutes to sit down, answer a bunch of questions, and then get some recommendations about stuff that lines up with you, you're actually not trying. Just take the time, take 20 minutes, and it'll give you some recommendations. And I can tell you what, look, actually, let me tell you a story. This one's a good one. When we first built the What to Study quiz, and it's all powered by AI, and it's designed to help people figure out what subjects line up with them. The very first person that we put that quiz in front of, the very first real student that we put that in front of, sat down and did it, and we're looking over their shoulder and we're like, oh, well, you know, what's it going to recommend? And the AI processed, and it gave them the recommendations. And we're like looking at this student, and we're like, so how did it do? And, you know, the student's kind of looking through it, and this is a student that literally had no idea what they wanted to do. And as they're going through it, suddenly they came across one, and we saw them like physically, oh, wow. And they looked up at us and they said, Museum and Cultural Studies. Like, what is that? And it's just something that they'd never heard of before. And then they turned and they said, I could see myself working in that. And the parents were like completely blown away, because they'd never even thought museum and cultural studies. Like, what the heck is that? The thing is, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes having that sort of resource can help open up opportunities, can put doors in front of you that you didn't even know existed. There's another one that some of you will have done through your schools, which is called Moresby. Moresby is also, it's a different approach. It's based around aptitudes. So it'll identify like if you're good at maths, if you're a good problem solver and stuff like that. Moresby you can pay for as well. So yeah, Moresby's a great option. Do some of those and get some ideas about things that might line up with you. Okay? And then from there, pick one. Pick one, all right? It's pretty simple. And then when you pick one, if it doesn't work out for you, change. Let me promise you this. If you're a high school kid right now, you've got no idea what you want to do, no idea what you want to do with your life, you can stuff this decision up. You can get it completely wrong, and you can go and try something else. You can drop out of uni and get a job, and you can literally muck stuff up for the next 5 years, and you're still going to be as young as heck. You're still only going to be like in your early 20s. People get stuff wrong all the time. They fail at things all the time. It's by failing that we actually start to work out the things that we're good at, the things that we're not good at, the things that we like, the things that we don't like. So forget this idea that you have to have it worked out. Try something. If it doesn't suit you, change. All right? It's the best thing that you can do. Let me come back to gap years for one moment. before I got sidetracked onto my rant about something else. Gap years, I hate this term, right? Because it sounds like it's just a waste of time. Think about that differently. You don't know what you want to do next. No stress. Take an exploratory year. Parents, tune in. It is not a gap year if you treat it like an exploratory year. A year where you take time out to try a whole bunch of different stuff. What does an exploratory year look like? Well, honestly, get online. If you figured out a few subject areas that you're kind of interested in, a few kind of career areas, there are a bazillion and one free online courses that you can take, or that cost very, very little to actually get a qualification. You pay like $100 and you actually get like a little certification as well that goes along with it. These things are like a dime a dozen, all right? You can go out and try all of these different subject areas, like do a little bit of business, do a little bit of agriculture, study a little bit of music, and that will then help you figure out what you enjoy studying or not. That can be a great part of an exploratory year. Go volunteer. Now, when I say volunteer, people might think soup kitchen straight away, like volunteering for home. Volunteering is vast. You can come and volunteer for choosing your uni. Like we've literally had interns and volunteers working with us. I've looked after many interns over the years, and many, many organisations do. Sometimes they're not for profits, sometimes they're not. The number of volunteering opportunities that are out there are literally unlimited. So if you think maybe you want to, get into the outdoors, something to do with the outdoors, go volunteer for national parks. Work. If you think that maybe you want to, get into a trade, awesome. Like trades are fantastic. But the great news is that you can go and get a casual job working with, like a landscaper, right? And you get paid. You might then figure out that you actually hate that. Once again, that's a good thing. It's one less thing. Remember those doors? Like, it's a door that you've walked through and you're going, oh, this sucks. Quietly, back away, don't look at it, close the door, and let's get the heck out of here and try something else. All right? If you live life like that, you will do really well for yourself. So, exploratory years are an incredible way for you to try to figure out what step is the right one, the next step, the best use of your time beyond where you are right now. Hey parents, if that's you, like I know a lot of people who started off in one career and now they're like, what the hell was I doing? I got that all wrong. Like I really don't enjoy this thing, and they're looking for what's next. It's the same for you. Okay, now you have different pressures on you. You got to work, you got to look after these kids. You're time limited and everything. But there's a lot of time in our days that we spend. I haven't got my phone handy. That we spend like this. Like, don't pretend otherwise. Like we all have time that we could spend exploring this different stuff. You can jump on the internet. You can do a free course. You can. You can spend some time volunteering. None of us probably volunteer. Actually, I do a lot of us volunteer, but volunteer with different things. Finding the next step for you is the same sort of process. It's just trying stuff out, and then if you don't enjoy it, do less of it. If you do enjoy it, do more of it, and then maybe that eventually leads you onto like an area of study to take you further. So exploratory years, take one. And you know what? Only 3% of people that are doing a gap year are off traveling. What are most people doing? Well, most people are actually working. They are out there working casual jobs, saving money. Maybe they're saving up to go traveling. I don't know. But they're experiencing things. So there's plenty of opportunity when you take that time out. Now let me bust a myth here, all right? One of the things that society shoves down our throats is that you've got to figure out what you're passionate about. And, often this is sort of part of career advising too, is like people be like, oh, figure out what you're passionate about. Like, actually, you know what? Following your passions can be a good thing if you're good at it. But if you're a pretty mediocre kind of musician, well, trying to become a professional musician, like that ain't going to be a good thing for you, right? However, maybe if you love music, maybe you're not such a great musician and you're never going to be able to cut it as a professional musician, but maybe you're an amazing audio engineer. It's not so much about passion as it is about skills and experience. Things that we're good at and the experience that we've developed in those areas. And let me be honest with you, like having interviewed hundreds of people for various podcasts about their careers and how they've gotten to the very impressive places in their careers where they love what they do and they're probably making squillions of dollars and they're getting to travel the world and all these kind of really good things. Almost universally, it's not a linear path. Almost nobody will say to you, oh yeah, I always knew that I wanted to be a ... and I did it at university and I got into a career and I worked in it for 20 years and I absolutely love what I do. Okay, yeah, there are those people out there, but they're an absolute minority, okay? Most people who end up in interesting careers where they love what they do, they've figured out what they're passionate about, have gotten there through small steps, all right? They've gone and tried this thing. Oh, that was crap. I didn't enjoy that. So they've backed away. They've gone over and they've tried. Oh, that was pretty cool. The doors open. Somebody said, why don't you come to Africa with me on this field trip? Oh, and they've gone to Africa. Life is not linear. Doors will open as you go. So what we're not trying to do is to design you can't design that end point, right? And as we go, and I can say this, now I'm deep into my career and I love what I do. We get there in small steps and suddenly you discover something that you didn't know existed. Like a biology laboratory or overseas travel, right? How did I end up sleeping in half a dozen train stations across Europe? Well, I ended up doing a student exchange program through university. You know what? I'd had this idea. I can remember being in high school and sitting in our quadrangle. It's a cold morning. We're sort of sitting in our roll call groups, and they had a guest speaker from a US, student exchange company for high school students. And they were talking about doing an exchange in the US, and I remember thinking to myself, that'd be cool. I think one day I'd like to do that. And actually, when I started that volunteering for the biology laboratory, it opened a door for me. I suddenly realized, oh wow, I can go and do a student exchange. Why not? So I ended up going to do a student exchange in Oxford. Amazing. When I was in Oxford, this is great. I ended up joining the travel club, okay? Because I was like, I want to discover Europe. Yeah, I want to go and, explore this country that I'm on exchange at. So I joined the travel club. I met a whole bunch of amazing people, ended up traveling all over Europe. Side story, but ended up, my favorite band, Pearl Jam, were doing a tour around Europe at that time. And this is without a word of a lie. I just booked two concerts. I was like, I'll go and see Pearl Jam a couple of times. At the first concert, I met like 30 people who were following the entire tour around Europe. And I was like, these guys are cool. They were awesome. And they were like, Rob, you're going to come with us. Like, come and travel around Europe with us to see concerts. Yeah, hello, come on. So off I went and did that. And as part of that, yeah, you know what? I was living on the shoestring. I didn't have that money. Even though I'd been saving, doing all those casual jobs and saving all my money for this experience, I didn't want to blow it. So some nights you'd arrive at 1 o'clock in the morning, getting off a late night train, and rather than going to a youth hostel, I would like sleep in the train station. Okay, maybe that was another era. Certainly, I'm a white male. I appreciate the privileges that come with just by being a white male because of the biases of society. But yeah, that was something that I did that I never would have dreamed that I would do. So all of these experiences that you will have in your life, you don't know what they even are yet. So stop pretending. All right, stop pretending like you should have figured it out or you can even possibly know. And actually, you know what? Most important of all, stop looking at social media and thinking that that's real life. Okay, like this, I don't mean any criticism whatsoever, but too many people, you're looking at people living these lives. No, look, guys, this is all fake. Like, yes, there is a tiny percentage of people who are actually out there doing that thing. That has got nothing to do with you. Like, if you want to create that life for yourself, like, awesome. In fact, we've got a session on becoming a content creator as part of this virtual expo. Let me tell you the truth. You can make an incredible living as a content creator, but you're not one of those people getting viral videos, and they're the 0.1 of 1%, right? Forget that crap. Okay, you can become a content creator and make a fantastic living because every single organization in the world needs content to be made for them, right? That's where the opportunity is getting paid to do like videos about things that you actually care about for organizations that you care about. So go do that. But let's not pretend that this fake crap that we see on social media is what we should be aspiring to. These influencers guys, like, they're getting paid to promote whatever product or do whatever, or they're paying to, they're paying to fly themselves in business class so they can show themselves like that. Doesn't mean they're making lots of money or they're living some glamorous lifestyle. It's you're being manipulated. All right? You do you. Forget everything else. You do you. Okay? You're unique. You've got your story. Own your story. You know what? If you've had a tough life, I feel, right? I feel for you. Like, I'm so empathetic for the tough stuff that you have gone through. Honestly, that is your story. You have to decide whether your story is a burden or whether it's a gift. I can tell you, I've met some extraordinary people who have come from the hardest of backgrounds. People who were orphaned, who grew up in foster families, and have gone on to win the biggest scholarships in Australia, New Colombo Plan, travelled all across the Asia Pacific, and are now working incredible jobs. That doesn't happen because their story holds them back. It happens because their story is part of who they are, and they use that to help drive them forward. Your story is who you are. The good news, the story is the path behind you. You're the person who gets to write the story that comes next. Okay? Students, if you are like 20, you're at the end, let's say you're at the end of the first quarter. I call it first quarter. Right? Realistically, you're going to live longer than 80 years old. If you're 20 years right now, you're going to live to 100. Most people watching this are going to live to 100. Okay, fantastic. The second quarter that's coming for you right now, you're just about to start it. This is the first quarter of your life where you are fully in control. Okay? You are fully in charge. Okay, unless mum and dad are paying your expenses, like they've got you on the purse string. Okay, but remember, that's a leash. If you're taking your parents' money and they're paying for everything for you, like, yeah, you're on their leash. You want to get off that leash? You need to walk away and step up yourself. Work your own job, have your own money, make your own choices, and take responsibility for the things you get wrong. And you are going to get stuff wrong. So don't even forget, let's not even pretend otherwise. Okay, and it's okay. The second quarter is your quarter. But you know what? It's not about the next 6 months. It's not about the next 12 months. This is literally, you've got a quarter. If you figure your stuff out, in the next 10 years, by the age of 30, you're doing pretty well because you've got the rest of your life to actually benefit from that. I can tell you what, there are so many people that get to their 60s and they haven't figured their stuff out and they're unhappy and they realize they wasted their life. You've got until you turn 30 to figure it out, and you're still young. Like, I'm in my 40s now and I still feel young. I'm still creating businesses and volunteering and getting involved in things, and I'm still kicking butt. So if you're only 30, you've still got your whole life ahead of you. So don't feel like you need to work this out in the next 6 months. That's absolute rubbish. But something is different now for you and for all of us, in fact, in terms of our careers. And that's this new technology that is upon us. AI, all right? I'm sure you're hearing about it and like, okay, let's just speak some truth here. Students, we know you're using it. You're using it to study. You're probably using it to give you advice about this, that, and the other. Maybe it's one of your companions that you talk to, when you've got troubles. Okay, fair, all fair play. Parents, the kids are using this technology, whether we like it or not. The technology doesn't care. When the internet came around in the early 2000s, people said this is going to steal all of the jobs and everything's going to change and fall in a heap, and it didn't. So this technology is no different. The students that are coming through now are going to be AI natives. I call them Generation GPT. The first generation who have no expectation that they have to write a single freaking email. Can you imagine that? Imagine us. You don't have to write an email. You don't have to you don't have to create a video. In a world where everything can be generated instantly, text, audio, video, music, ideas. This is the truth. Ideas, they don't count for jack all anymore. Ideas are a commodity. I can go to Claude right now and say, hey Claude, give me 100 ideas about ... and I will have 100 ideas. Your ideas don't count for anything anymore. What are the skills for this world where everything can be generated instantly? What are the skills that you need in order to get ahead? Firstly, actually, part of this event, we've got a whole bunch of sessions specifically answering this question. We've got a session on, in fact, that's this afternoon, how you can use AI to study better, to study smarter. There are some incredible techniques that we'll teach you this afternoon that will help you get ahead, not cheat. Here's the thing. If you use this technology, just to give you the answers, you're screwed. You are in serious trouble. What we need to be doing is using these tools to help us learn better, to help us work better, not to make it easy on us. Because literally they've got research that shows you it's cognitive decline. We stop thinking. Those neural networks in your brain, neuroplasticity, the more we use something, the stronger those neurons get. So in your brain, the more that you scroll on Instagram, the more that reinforces the dopamine pathways in your brain linked to scrolling, and that's why you get addicted to it. The more that we rely on ChatGPT to give us the answers, the less we have to think for ourselves, the more we reinforce our dependence on this technology. But there are ways that we can use this technology to study better, to study smarter, and we'll teach those to you this afternoon. And parents, if you're here, we've got a session for you called AI Fundamentals, where we'll be talking specifically about how you can work with your student to make them use this technology the best it can be. So if you don't know anything about it, once again, technology doesn't care about your feelings. This stuff is here and it's changing the world. We've got a whole session on AI and the future of work, where we're going to dive into the different career areas, the different fields of work, and how that's going to be impacted by AI and robotics. Let me tell you this though, it's going to affect every single industry. Every industry. So that said, what are the core skills you need to be able to thrive in a work, like in an environment where everything can be generated. Okay, so ideas are a commodity. Doesn't matter what job you're doing, ideas are a commodity. What becomes critical is how we interact with the human beings around that idea, how we persuade, how we negotiate. These become critical skills. All of us are going to be, once again, whether you like this or not, this might confront a few people, but this is the truth. It's already happening. All of us are going to be working with teams of AI agents in our whole lives, like across all elements of our life. So in terms of organizing your life at home, we're all going to have AI agents that are going to be helping us with that. Maybe we're even going to have our own robots. If you don't think that that's true, get on YouTube and you look for like China Robotics Conference, something like that. You'll find it, and you see what the robots are capable of doing now. You will be blown away. They're saying by 2030, like in-home robotics is going to be a real thing, and it's going to be booming. Because let's face it, we'll do anything to save 15 seconds. Like if I don't have to take my bin down, and that saves me 30 seconds, yeah, like I'm probably going to take that option, right? Humans are just lazy. This technology is coming. And we're all going to be working with these teams of AI agents. Parents, if you don't know what an AI agent is, come to our AI fundamentals session and we will teach you. And so in this world where we are all working with AI agents, teams of them, we're all leaders. We are all managers. Managerial skills, project management skills become some of the core skills that we need for the future. But you know what? Like this technology is also the greatest opportunity, I think, in like the last 100 years. Already, like the internet back in 2000s, late 1990s, the internet kind of becoming a thing was a massive opportunity. Imagine if you had bought Amazon shares back when they floated and you paid $10 for them, and now they're worth thousands and thousands of dollars, you would be a millionaire, right? Imagine if you had invested in crypto, in Bitcoin, when it was just a laughing stock back in 2011, and you'd bought 1,000 Bitcoin. Where would you be now? This is the moment of time that we are right now with this technology. Regardless of what you are thinking of going into, if you're thinking of going into teaching, you're thinking of going into healthcare, you're thinking of going into communication, you're thinking about going into business, the opportunities are just enormous right now, and you are walking into it fresh. So does that mean you need to be worried about what your career is going to look like? No, things will evolve. The workplace will evolve. You don't need to be stressed that the job that you want to do is going to be gone. The job that you want to do may look very different, but that doesn't mean that it won't exist in some form. It'll just be different to what we've experienced in the past. So we just have to get started, right? Think about a career as being something made of clay, right? It's not concrete. Whatever decision you make, you're going to experience all this stuff during this virtual expo. You're going to look at different unis. You might look at different career options. You might think about sessions about AI or whatever. Okay, all of that's really nice, but we're not pouring a whole lot of concrete into a mold that's going to be fixed and is going to be static. No, not at all. It's made of clay. You're going to be molding this sculpture for years, maybe even decades, as long as you don't treat that as being something static. okay? Because if we just leave clay like it is, it's going to set, and that's not necessarily a happy story if it's not in the form that we actually want. So backing all the way up to the front, you just got to get started. And if you're not happy, you've just got to change. Now, that sounds easy when I just say it. Changing is hard. Change takes courage. But what I want you to remember is if you don't, if you continue down a path that you're not enjoying, and whether that's like relationships, whether that's work, whether that's something to do with your personal values, if you follow that path that you're not enjoying, that doesn't align with you, you're going to end up in a not happy place. So change is like the number one thing that we need to get used to. And that feeds into this technology. The opportunities are going to be huge, but there might be an opportunity that's right here, right now with that technology, and in 6 months it's gone. But something else has sprung up over here. And this is the opportunity right now, and we can take advantage of it, and then maybe that's gone. We've got to be prepared to explore, to fail, and to change when things don't work out. And yeah, that takes a bit of courage. Actually, and maybe I'm going to finish on that note. This afternoon, I've got a session with Anita Van Rooyen on making confident decisions. And we'll take you through, or Anita will take you through, a framework for how to decide this stuff confidently. All right? Because right now, I feel you, like parents, I know where you're at. Like you might be like, how do I help my child? We'll show you how to actually do that confidently. And students, very normal where you are right now. Like if you're not sure, okay, very, very normal. We'll show you how to take that next step confidently. Because rest assured, it is only just a next step. What's the best use of your time? Only you know, all right? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Like, TAFE, is TAFE better than uni? Like, yeah, that might be you. TAFE might be the right choice. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Are you fried? Do you just need time off after year 12? That's the right choice for you. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. Your circumstances are completely unique. Only you know what's going on in your own head and in your own heart. You must do what is right for you based on your circumstances. Okay, nothing else. I'm going to finish up there. If I think back to Rob, walking down that corridor in his first year of university, would he have imagined that one day he would be standing here live streaming to literally thousands of people all around Australia? Absolutely not. And all of that has just been a journey of small steps, doing things that I've enjoyed, doing more of that, doing less of the things that I haven't enjoyed. And you never know exactly where that's going to lead you. Enjoy this National Virtual Expo. Please participate. You're not alone. Even if, maybe you've got a great support network, you're one of the fortunate ones if you've got people you can talk to, friends and family who will help you with this. But if you don't, we have the Discord server where you can get on, completely anonymous, and you can ask your questions about, different options. You can share as much or as little as you want. Parents, if you need help, the Facebook group is there to support you. You can post anonymously in that and you will get responses to your questions. So always ask questions, be curious, and keep moving forward. I'm Rob. I'm looking forward to seeing you throughout the National Virtual Expo. And you can find me, DM me and hit me up on the chat. I'm also more than happy to help you. Thanks so much for joining this session on getting started. Because in the end, that's what we're here to do, is just making a start. We're not trying to design the end point right now. Thank you. Well, I hope you got something out of this session. And if you have any questions at all, you can head to choosingyouruni.com and ask Lumen. Lumen is your AI guide who knows about every university, every pathway, every option that we've talked about throughout this virtual expo. And Lumen is available to talk to you 24/7. So it's ready when you are.